All right, episode 10, and we are Sean and Danny. We own Prevail Strength and Fitness, and we also own Lean Strength online program. So,
and Danny G Photography.
And Danny G Photography.
We might as well throw
there
that
we go.
on there.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then we kind of own Prevail Adventure Club, even though it's not like an actual business.
And we definitely own Prevelations podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about why I made a post about this the other day, and why Ozempic, GLP-1s, semaglutide, however you want to think of that family of peptides, is the best thing to happen to the fitness industry,
Okay.
to the gym industry.
Okay.
So that's kind of a controversial idea, because when it first really became popular, and
I'm sorry, I have to say something really fast. You made a Facebook post about this yesterday, talking about it. And the Facebook post is of me hiking, the picture that you used in the Facebook post. I have my hand in a bag of snacks on this hike, and that's the picture that you chose.
That's the whole point. That was the whole point of the. I don't understand what does that have to do with anything?
I don't know. I didn't notice that until today, and I was like, "That's the picture." We have so many cool pictures of this hike.
It was the first picture when I scrolled down my phone.
And he literally picks
because
the one.
Messy action. I'm not gonna.
And my eyes are closed.
I wasn't
and
even
my
gonna post a
hand
picture
is in
to
a.
it.
My hand is in a bag of snacks.
You're welcome for me posting a picture of you.
Anyways, continue. Okay.
So, GLP-1s, Ozempics, etc. are all in this family of peptides where basically, if you don't know what it is, there's so much content around what it is and how it works. But it basically hijacks your hunger cues so that you don't feel as hungry. For the most part, that's like the bulk of the science behind it.
Okay.
Now, when it first came out, there was quite a bit of our industry that was like, it's a shortcut, it's cheating, put in the work, all that kind of content around like, this isn't an easy way out. You shouldn't do that, right?
Right.
Which is kind of ridiculous, because our industry has so many cliches and so many misconceptions about the people who are professionally in the industry that we're all the same. And this only exaggerates this kind of conception of like that all trainers are the same. Everyone looks down on people. Anytime we go to any kind of like, well, not anymore as much, but for a long time, any kind of social situation where people didn't know who we were, they found out we're trainers, we found out we're gym owners, they always like, don't look at my plate, and oh, you can have the cookie too. Like, there's always these comments about what people think trainers act like, because the loudest 10% of our industry says a bunch of dumb shit. Right, which means it feels so disconnected from the regular person. You know how many people are like, do you eat bad food too? And we're like, all right, well, one, there's no bad foods. Two, what does that mean? Because they think we're some sort of like chicken and broccoli robots who like get up at 5 a.m. every day, go running, and then go lifting afternoon, and don't have any social life and don't do anything else outside of like this robotic fitness life.
Right.
So
even though sometimes we do eat chicken and broccoli.
So the idea behind why the shot, a lot of people in the industry would be looking down on it, is because they think that it's going to get people to not put in the work. That's what some of these trainers think. And really, when you think about it, when you zoom out, it's just another tool in the entire process. So it's like there's two camps of people. And as a reference, it's kind of like a background to who we are. I have been talking to individuals one-on-one about their nutrition, philosophy, and process, and exercise process coming up on 14 years.
Yeah. Long time.
And I've been studying it since I was 16, which is longer than 14 years by quite a bit. Right? And then, and you've been in it full time, professionally for 7 years now.
Yes.
Right? So we have lots of reps, lots of conversations with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And what that does is it gives us a really wide base of this like a place to come from with empathy and with connection and without outliers.
Well, yeah. No, I mean, I've also kind of been on the other side of that too before in college and the end of high school taking diet pills.
Right.
I mean.
Right.
Same but different.
Same but different. And that's kind of the conversation about why I made that post and had some conversation and comments was if you zoom out and you look at the last several decades of our industry, there's been something new pop up and make this revolutionary wave that's going to fix the problems. And it happens every 3 to 5 years.
Sure.
That over and over and over and over and over again.
Sure.
So this new wave of these Ozempic pills, shots, not a pill, isn't necessarily something that's like earth-shattering. It is probably the most effective injectable with what we think is right now the least amount of side effects that has ever come around. But there was a time when diet pills, which were basically speed, those worked for a lot of people for a long time, right? Yeah. And then it kind of came out that maybe you shouldn't stress your heart like that, and that's probably not good.
Probably not good.
Right?
Yeah.
Being just hopped up on methamphetamines, more or less. Basically, that's what it was.
Yeah, and I had no idea taking it as a 20-year-old.
Right. And so for the shot, it's doing the same thing. It's basically you're taking a shot, and it's a peptide, a hormone peptide, that's basically kind of canceling out the noise from hunger cues, which we've been coaching nutrition clients for a very long time. And one of the hardest parts about applying a process is consistency over time.
Yes.
It's not what to do. It's not the information. It's just doing it for the vast majority of time, week after week after week after week, right? And there's a wide range of reasons why this becomes complicated. But basically, you're hungry.
You're hungry, yeah.
Right? And there's reasons why you're hungry. There's like physical reasons that you're hungry. There's emotional reasons you're hungry, where it looks like hunger, right? There's
feels like hunger, right? I guess, right?
Yep, right. There's foods that are delicious. There's you have a lot of students currently, we'll get into why even as a nutrition coach, this shot will benefit even students that you're training, is like social situations, the weekends, you're still coaching people through these hurdles, and it all comes down to managing the energy equation, managing food in, and exercise out, which all comes down to managing hunger and managing emotion and managing
stress
process and then becoming disciplined and all those things. It's all the same stuff.
Yep.
So basically the shot hijacks that so that you don't have the hunger cues.
Sure.
So you're just not hungry.
Right.
Which means in turn you eat considerably less food.
Right.
Considerably less food.
Yeah.
So first thing I think is that the shot doesn't burn fat. Right?
Okay.
Just like if you name a diet, that diet doesn't burn fat or help you lose weight.
Right.
Right? Like you teach, for a vast majority of your people and yourself, teach counting macros.
Yes.
Right? Not to everybody, but for the vast majority. So it's not that counting macros is the reason you lose weight.
Right.
It's
the most flexible approach for long-term consistency to manage your energy equation.
Right. That's the benefit of macros. But how is it that they're losing weight?
They're eating less.
Than?
they were.
Or
then their energy equation is like their output.
Right. So it's not that counting macros is a superior method.
No.
And it's the tool. It works.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
It's not that there's a magical combination of macros that help you lose fat.
Right.
Right. There's that once you do it, you get into a calorie equation, energy equation that creates a deficit, and then you lose weight. You can insert any diet name ever. It's the same reason.
Right.
You get to a point to where you upset your energy equation and your body loses tissue because of the energy equation.
Right. It loses tissue. It doesn't turn into muscle. That's a different story. Fat tissue. That's what I was gonna.
Right. Well, yeah. Because if you zoom out and you just think about all weight loss, and we'll talk about weight loss, not fat loss, because this is important for the shot.
I know. I was gonna be like asterisks. Macros are really important for body composition. A specific like carbs, fats, proteins. Well, anyway, but that doesn't matter. Not for this. Like
no, that doesn't. Yeah. Right. That's not.
Yeah.
When we're talking about the energy equation and you use macros, you use something like low carb, you use something like paleo, you use something like vegan, you use something like keto, you use whatever it is.
Right. Carb cycling,
you use something like
fasting.
Right. You use something like Ozempic, you use something like Phytamine or right? All of the thing, it comes down to you're upsetting the energy equation so that your body is intaking less energy than it's expanding, expelling. Therefore, it needs to release tissue.
Yes.
That's all weight loss.
Yeah.
Right? Now, what the shot does great at is it hacks that hunger cue so that you consume less energy than you're taking in.
Right.
Which means that the shot specifically doesn't have a huge effect on how your body is processing fat. Right? For the most part. We won't get deep in the weeds in that.
Okay.
But for the most part, it's a hunger cue. So you consume considerably less food. And then that is why you lose the weight. So the shot doesn't do it.
Right.
The effects of the shot downstream do it.
Right.
Now, this is important when we talk about how this is good for us. Because you're like, well, don't you guys like help people lose weight? And like, yeah, we do help people, and we have helped a lot of people. But you would think, well, this is a weight loss shot. There's not going to be a need for you, right? But that's a very, that's too narrow and that's too simple of an idea. And what the point of me making that post is that we talk about this all the time, is we talk about all of the value, the things that you gain from exercise, the things you gain from strength training, the things you gain from endurance training, the things that you gain from eating a higher quality food, the things you gain from building habits, the things you gain from building mindset and building discipline. Like there's all these things from the application of coaching that you gain way outside of just losing weight.
Right.
Because you have students now you've had students come to you and their number one goal is they want to, not necessarily they don't want progress from like the scale standpoint, but they're okay with the scale staying the same, but they want to get some control over how to manage it better.
Yes.
They just learn. I just want to learn how I can hold here and not go down or up. But I also want to know how I can like learn the habits, learn mindset, learn how to start counting, maybe potentially learn full on counting or just counting some things or hand portions or portion control, whatever it is that they're learning the skills of how to take their nutrition and habits.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because they feel a need more from the energy, consistency, feel good side of it, and not putting so much like emphasis on scale.
Yeah. And then on the same thing from the studio side, from training, right? Well, we've done like we do online training for some people, but the vast majority of our training is in studio, people exercising, right? That prevails studio's job. That's the thing that
Yes.
we do is people come in, they exercise, and we solve that problem of what do I do? How do I do it? Where do I do it? What do I do next? I want to do it with other people. Like that's the problem we solve in the studio.
Yep.
And we see a lot of people who come to us with weight loss goals.
Yes.
And we're really, I think we try to do a good job of helping people. For the most part, people who come to us, our best students, they want more than just weight loss.
Yes.
So they want other things like
going on a big hike or having energy outside of the gym, being able to like be more active, like with family. Are you asking me this?
Yeah.
Like what other? Well, you didn't say anything, so I was just making sure. I mean, I feel like those are the biggest ones, like more energy, playing with kids, going on hikes, going on walks, just being more active outside of weight loss. Right.
Yeah. And there's
and like getting stronger.
Right.
Especially while you're aging.
So there's performance things. There's things like I want to be able to do X exercise better.
Yes.
I want to be able to consistently exercise, which is a health gain.
Yes.
You know, I want to challenge my mobility, or I want to challenge my heart rate, or I want to
work on my endurance, like
whatever
even,
it is.
from a side of not like running something, but
right. So our most common and best students generally have this like 2-part of either like a lifestyle goal of all those things we're talking about and or a weight loss, body composition type goal. And then I'd say a vast majority have a little bit of both.
Yes.
And that kind of changes over time, but generally speaking when they come in. But if someone comes in and they're like, I just have a weight loss goal, that's all I care about, we kind of like, it's not that we talk them away from the studio, but since our focus of in Prevail is to gain all the benefits from exercise, it's not just to come in and burn calories.
Right.
So when we say that the shot is one of the best things to happen to the industry, it solves the weight loss problem.
Right.
Which then opens up a window to really start to value all the benefits of exercise, of coaching, is what are all the things that I'm gaining, not just what am I losing from it. So if someone can go in the shot and they're like, look, I have a really hard time managing my hunger. Cool. This shot is going to help you manage your hunger. That's very low effort. Right?
Right.
And they're like, great, but I do want to learn to strength train. I do want to learn how to improve my habits. I do want to learn how to do this thing, or I want to get stronger at this. That's what we're going to do.
Right.
And now we do nutrition coaching. We do a little bit of like, here's some ideas of how you would lose weight. And we've had people come in, regardless of the shot, lose tons of weight. We've had people come in and lose 60, 70, 80 pounds at the studio.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But they've also gained all sorts of other things along the way.
Yeah, because it's almost like the weight loss was kind of a like bonus in their mind.
Yeah. Right.
Because they were learning and doing so many other like cool things and benefiting mentally, physically from the exercise that it was like, oh, and
right. Yes, the and
not
part.
Like this is it.
Yeah. And we have been, inside the Prevail studio, we have talked for a long time. Like we have content years back saying that like exercise doesn't burn calories.
For like a
long time.
Yeah.
Right. Because we're like, we've got to make a shift. And when you come down to the science of it, even if you would only use exercise from a calorie burn standpoint, you still have to manage what you're putting in your face. And you still have to manage the habits outside of that. You can't just show up to the gym, work as hard as possible, and then lose all the weight you want to lose.
Right.
Without adjusting the other side, the other 23 hours a day.
Right.
And even if you could outwork a diet, you can only work 7 to 9 hours a week before there's no more left for you to work.
You can't. I mean, we've talked about this before, but even when I was doing 20 hours of cardio a week, I mean, I didn't lose any weight.
No.
You know?
No. Right. So it's not as simple. And that's why it's hard to tell people.
Right.
It's so hard to be like, you can come to the gym. And yes, if you have a weight loss goal, going to the gym is going to do nothing but help you with the weight loss goal.
Right.
So if you don't have the gym, you could lose weight just by managing food.
Right.
It's possible. It's just harder. If you go to the gym and you get all the benefits from the gym, it's going to make weight loss easier, but you're still going to have to do stuff outside of the gym.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
Yes.
Right? So even if exercise did, which it doesn't, it's a very short window that it has any application.
Right.
You go from 0 hours of exercise and you build yourself up to 10 hours a week of exercise. Yeah, you're going to lose weight because you're upsetting your equation.
Yeah, if you don't change anything on the other side of it.
Right. Which is super tough.
Which is hard because you exercise, typically your hunger goes up.
Right. Yeah, and you end up eating more and doing more.
Yeah.
And then you're still not losing the weight, which is confusing because I'm putting all these hours in, and you have to manage the other side.
Yeah. We've kind of talked about this before, but I really like to look at the nutrition and then the exercise as two completely separate buckets.
Yeah, that's what we should be doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where, when we say that the shot's the best thing to happen to our industry, it's going to...
in the nutrition bucket.
And it's going to force people to start to understand, even if I have this quote-unquote magic pill,
sure,
it doesn't solve all my problems.
Right.
It may have changed my effect on gravity.
Right, but if you want to be a stronger, capable, badass human, then you got to pick something up, or
right, and even if you're
you'll
doing
want to pick something up.
Right, and even if you do it just from a standpoint of losing weight for your health.
Yeah.
You don't know where you're losing that weight from. So this is where it gets into this is probably the biggest argument that I've seen from people in the industry. This would be if someone were to be negative about the shot, this is where the side effects really come into play, and there's still more data coming out, but the vast majority of data coming out is that it's very normal for people to lose. We talked about tissue loss. Yes. It's very normal for people to lose muscle mass during any kind of hard dieting anything. That's just the way, because your body has to, it doesn't know where to take tissue from. It's hard. Unless you have a very specific recipe. Yeah. Which is possible. Yeah, but it typically, isn't it your muscle uses more energy, so sometimes your body wants to rid of the muscle first-ish? That is one of the reasons. Yes, it is easier for your body to want to remove muscle as an energy source before fat. Yes, that's what I meant. Great. Right. Okay, perfect. And that gets really geeky. Why? Yeah, we don't have to get into that, but on a normal calorie restriction diet, so let's say someone they're 40% body fat. Okay. Okay. It's 200 pounds. Okay. Right. And they go under any super calorie restrictive diet. It can be because of the shot. It can be because of 100 different reasons. They add in whatever process. Okay. And they're not doing anything. They're not exercising. Okay. Right? It is normal, or they have a bypass or a gastric sleeve or a weight loss surgery. Okay. It's normal and kind of acceptable to lose 20-ish %, 30% muscle mass, but you're losing more fat than muscle mass. And so if you zoom out to the long-term effects, you're overall healthier losing muscle mass with your body fat if you're losing more body fat than muscle mass. Okay. Okay? Right. Now, you can have dialed in coaching, where you're being very methodical about the rate of loss, upset the energy equation at certain percentages, to where you can get that down to 1 to 5% muscle mass loss. Especially if you're focusing on Well, that's separate.
Okay.
I'm saying like you could.
Oh, like
you could
eating
change,
enough protein.
Right. If this person's at 40% and they're normally consuming 2,000 or whatever calories a day, and they say, cool, eat 500 calories a day, they take a 75% change in the energy equation to lose dramatic amounts of weight. Someone could also take a 10% change and make it 7.5 times longer in duration, but maintain muscle, right? And your percentages are way lower. Yeah. Now, if you were to add in exercise, like resistance training, your percentages get even higher. So someone could, and we've had many students that prevail do this, maintain all their muscle mass and only lose fat.
Yeah.
But over years. Methodically through, not like years of eating perfect, but years of paying attention, going slow, taking their phases, going in and out of maintenance, in and out of losses, like, and they're consistent in the gym, they're consistent with their processes. And when we say consistent, we mean like week in, week out, not like 7 days a week of perfect forever.
Right.
But like, oh, you zoom out for the year and
yeah, because perfect is impossible.
48 weeks out of the 52 were as on track as possible. 5 out of 7 days were on track as much as possible. That's what we mean by long-term consistency.
It's like 80 to 90%. Yeah.
Yeah. So the shot, what they're seeing is that these numbers are like really high. Like
for muscle mass?
40, 50, 60%. Some people are losing more muscle than fat.
Because it's at such a rapid rate?
It's because it's at such a rapid rate that they are plummeting their calories and they are eating through whatever tissue they can. And now we're going to have an epidemic.
And your body just wants to eat through the muscle.
It's just going to eat to wherever it can to survive. It's just going to find energy.
Well, your body does that, like when you do endurance stuff. Like it takes from the muscle.
Right. I am naturally.
Mine does too, but yours does.
I'm naturally like a smaller framed, smaller muscle mass person. So for me to put muscle mass on takes a unreal amount of work.
Well, I'm just pointing it out. It's not just like people that aren't exercise. Like sometimes that can happen too. If your energy input is way low. Yeah.
Yep. Yes. I don't know. What is that? What are you trying to connect the dots there? The energy. You're just saying like if you're just doing more than you're intaking. Is that what you're trying to say about why?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the dangerous part about this drug is that they're losing more muscle mass than fat. And now muscle mass as an organ, as a machine, is completely gone.
Yeah.
So now you're going to have, which is really going to be a bummer, because I do feel like in 10 to 15 years, we're going to have a widespread like osteoporosis, muscle loss, bone density issue. Because the amount of people who lost so much tissue so fast and then didn't do anything else about it. So now they're smaller people taking up less space, but they're actually fatter people than they were before.
Oh, because their body fat to
weight
ratio is still high.
If you're 200 pounds and 40%, right? And
body fat.
Yeah. And you lose muscle mass and now you're 160 pounds and 40% body fat percentage. You did that by
just removing muscle tissue.
Yeah, and some fat. But now if you get off the shot, this is where it's dangerous.
Okay.
And this is why it's the best thing to happen for gyms and coaches.
Sure.
Because people and hopefully doctors and prescribers are aware of this. But when people transition off the shot, that's where trainers, coaches, and gyms are going to be vital for people to maintain healthy progress, to build back the habits. Because once you get off the shot, all the hunger cues, they come right back.
Right.
They didn't it didn't quote unquote fix you forever. It just got to a point to where now I feel hungry again. I'm going to go back to my normal eating. And now your machine is even less because you have less muscle mass and you have even more body fat percentage than you had before, even though your effect on gravity is slightly different. than it was. So the muscle mass and body fat percentage is going to be scary. And that's why it's really important for people who are on it to have an exit plan. And ideally, you should have an exit plan when you get on the shot. Just like if someone were to come to you and says, I want to lose 50 pounds. I am dedicated, disciplined. I am high will, low skill. Tell me exactly what to do. I want to lose 50 pounds in the next 5 weeks.
5 weeks.
Right? They're 350 pounds. You're like, okay, we can do it. We're going to walk 10,000 steps a day. We're going to lift weights every other day. We're going to eat this much food. We're going to cycle in this and this and this. And then it's going to be great. But you're also going to be like, look, if we don't have a plan at the end of 5 weeks, this is all going to go back to the same.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a huge part of the process. It's missed often, which is dieting in general, but especially with such a fast approach.
Right, fast approach.
Yeah, you have to have an exit strategy.
You have to have an exit strategy because things will only become harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the plus side is if the shot starts stacking wins to where the individual goes, okay, I have never felt, I have never felt like I can't go for a walk because I have so much weight on me that I can't walk for more than 10 to 15 minutes or I'm in pain. Mm-hmm. I've never felt comfortable ever being in a gym setting because of the way that I perceive myself and I think others perceive me.
Sure.
I've never been able to confidently get up and down off of a bench or a squatted position because I've always been terrified of it.
Yeah.
Or I've never had an opportunity to have my hunger cues low enough to give me space to really process high quality food.
Yeah. It never feels under control.
Right. And so now you have this window of opportunity that you can leverage.
Yeah. It's kind of like using a kickstart-ish.
Yeah.
But if you view it as a kickstart with a paired things.
Yeah. If you're like, I'm going to get on the shot, this is going to help me get things going in the right direction.
Right.
So that I can then do all these other things.
Yeah.
Cool. I lose this first 10 to 15 pounds. Man, this is awesome. I feel good. I would really like to start walking, start running. I would like to start exercising because that win gave you a little bit of motivation.
Yeah.
It gave you some momentum to keep going, which is awesome for a ton of people because this opens the gate to so much. It's kind of like a gateway drug.
Yeah.
Like people, bad drugs or whatever you want to talk about bad. But this is it opens up things to go, okay, I can see another world that I've never even conceived before.
Yeah.
But now what?
Yeah.
Are you going to be on the shot indefinitely? Which is possible. I mean, financially, it's possible. I mean, I would think if I were to tell someone optimally, I would say I would take that money and then I would transition that into coaching, into a trainer, into a gym.
Sure.
Because the shot, once you're off of it, you're off of it. It's done. The effects of it stop whenever you stop.
Immediately.
They just stop. The effects of having skills and tools last forever.
Sure.
So if I can use the shot, get some momentum, learn the basics of nutrition and habits, learn the basics of good quality, high quality exercise, then when I get off the shot, I have these tools and I can use all the tools at once.
Yeah. I mean, you've done way more research about this than I have, but is there a recommendation on how long?
No. They say you can take it indefinitely or until you hit your goal weight, which is a problem because goal weight, unfortunately, is not considering body fat and muscle mass percentage.
Right.
It's just what's your effect on gravity.
Right. And I mean, I know we just said this, but the same with a goal weight from just manipulating your energy equation is really hard to maintain if you don't know how to maintain it. if you don't have an exit strategy to bring yourself out of whatever you were doing.
Right. Because at some point you're going to want to get to a sustainable, predictable, controlled process.
Right.
And you go through 3 phases in your coaching where it's this maintenance phase, rebuild phase, build muscle phase, and then like a loss phase. Well, eventually you're going to want to learn, how do I maintenance on purpose?
Right.
How do I hold results? Not how do I like fall off or lose, or how do I just stop doing what you're doing? You're like, cool, if I'm working at 98% effort to get to my results, I was working at 40% effort before. How do I just like hold at like 85% effort to like maintain my results?
Right, because you can't go back to 40, but you also can't put in 98% all the time for the rest of your life.
Right. And if you think about what the shot does, the shot hijacks that 40 to 90, basically.
Yeah.
It's honestly, that's what it does, is it takes that over. And it's not that it's a easy or shortcut out. It's just a drug to manipulate the process, just like people use steroids and tren and and doping and professional sports. I mean, they're all using some sort of...
Did you say doping?
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
Blood doping. Increases your ability to uptake oxygen.
Wow.
Cyclists, Armstrong. It's a big deal
a
few years ago.
Can we get that before we hike the volcano?
Well, you're supposed to use it during your training.
Oh, shit. Okay, so if you were talking to somebody that was thinking about getting on the shot, your first, like, what would you recommend?
So I would recommend is, well, what's the result you want from the shot?
Okay. Which
is the exact same process if someone were to walk up to us and say, I want to start nutrition coaching.
Right.
Okay, what's the result that you want? I want to lose 50 pounds. Okay, why is 50 pounds important to you?
Right.
Because X, X, and X, and X. Okay, have you ever been there before? No. Okay, great. What in your life is going to change when you're down 50 pounds?
Right.
Blank and blank and blank.
Why is that
all right,
to you?
Cool. Do you want to maintain that afterwards? Yes, obviously, I would love to maintain that weight loss. Okay, cool. We think it's going to take blank amount of time to get you there and to hold. So if someone's going to a doctor and they're like, I need to lose weight, this is the conversation. How much weight? What type of weight? What does that mean to you? Because if it's like, I have got to lose 100 pounds, or like I have all these health cues, I'm not going to like live for another few years. Take the shot. That's who the shot was originally prescribed, to get people out of crazy like obesity numbers. Like you're at like 40, 45, 50, 55, 60 plus % body fat percentage. That's where true obesity clinics are using this shot to get people out of like danger zone. Unfortunately, it's trickling over to this superficial kind of like, I'm kind of unhealthy. I kind of need to lose 40 pounds. I kind of don't, it doesn't really affect my health too much. And now we're having all these, every one of this blank statement should be on it. Not good.
Yeah, I've seen some girls on Instagram talking about it, and they're like using it to lose the last like 1 to 5 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's tough because, but if that's happening in combination with, because there are some things talking about microdosing.
I've heard you mention this.
Which kind of makes a lot of sense, because it's just like microdosing any other drug. Like you're just using a slight edge to just get to a better result.
Sure.
Like it'd be the same thing as us, not really the same thing, because a lot of things aren't as studied long-term from the overall negative health, right? It's not safe to use steroids indefinitely, right?
Right.
But there's a lot of people who use steroids with a very smart prescription, and it really has little to low negative effects. I didn't say no effects, little to low, little effects when used in a very small amount, and when used a transition on and off of it in a long-term plan. Same thing like this GLP-1 semaglutides.
Okay.
So, but the thing is like, I want to lose 50 pounds because I want to be healthier. I really want to do all these things with my life. I want to look the certain way. And you're like, cool. The best thing you can do once you start the shot is you need to adapt a high protein diet, which there's been studies of people on the shot with a high protein diet and a resistance training protocol have lost way more fat than muscle mass. So it's really simple. Eat a high protein diet. Simple's not easy. Eat a high protein diet, start resistance training, get on the shot, and it's kind of like using every tool in the toolbox all at the exact same time.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? And then it's kind of like, okay, well, what's your plan when you stop taking the shot?
Yeah.
I don't really have one. Okay, that's normal. Why would you? Well, here's what I suggest. I suggest having a nutrition coach in your corner to help you transition so that you know how to make these adjustments, because you're going to have to make adjustments.
Yeah.
You're going to have a plan in place to hold those results that you had from the shot.
Yeah. Yeah. And then if someone were to ask you if, let's say they had been on it for the last 6 months and they're already down 40 pounds and that's the only like change they've made so far, you would recommend the same
thing.
Just start with a coach.
Start with the coach.
Start strength training.
Yep.
Start focusing on some habits, and that way when you get off of that,
right,
you have this like base built, not just around.
Right. And it needs to be like, cool, are you having conversations with your doc about you want to get off this shot? What's the best way for me to transition off? What's the best way for me to change
they want to get off of it,
dosages or whatever the thing might be? To like, hey, 3 months from now, I'm really not wanting to be on this shot. How should we approach this?
Yeah.
And if your doctor says you shouldn't, or they don't give you any kind of nuance or kind of any what ifs, you need to run away from that person, because they don't care.
Get out.
They don't care about, right? If they're like, don't lift weights, don't worry about what you eat, take this shot, keep coming to me, you're going to lose your weight, and that's all they care about is selling you the shot.
Not a good idea.
Not a good idea. Just like if you go to a coach or a gym or any other kind of program and they're like, I don't really care, keep paying me, and I'm going to tell you what to do to unhealthily lose this weight, even if that means like getting a really shitty, healthy, and like mindset around food and exercise.
Right. Like, you got to burn more calories today.
Right. If the gym's like, well, you got to come in for 2 days a week for 6 weeks in a row and you'll lose that weight, and they don't care about anything beyond that, not good.
Yeah.
And then they use guilt and punishment for if you've ate something like you had cheesecake the night before, and they're like, well, you better burn off those 400 calories. Bad.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, Halloween is coming up, and we always see those candy charts floating around on how much you have to do to
get rid of the candy. Drives me nuts.
I know.
Drives me
You'll start talking about the clowns.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why we think that the shot is not a bad thing. We don't see it as competition. We just see it as another tool in the wide open toolbox of processes that someone can use to get to where they want to go.
Yeah.
Right? And ideally, what it really does, we hope, is we hope it opens up the window to people valuing the things out of exercise.
Yeah.
We hope that people are like, cool, I love to go to the gym to lift heavy weights because I know I'm getting stronger.
Yeah.
I know that I'm going to the gym because I am gaining the ability to like reach overhead without pain for the rest of my life.
Right.
Or I really like the idea that I'm gaining the ability to like go for a run, and I'm not running for weight loss. I'm running because I would like to go for a run.
It makes me feel good.
It makes me feel good. Or I'm like, cool, I really would like to open up the window of things I could do. And they're like, it's so awesome for me to be able to like go for a walk or a weighted walk or go out and get in the dirt. And they're like, I'm so excited that I can go somewhere amazing and beautiful and go walk up this hill and look at this pretty thing, because I want that out of the purpose of training.
Yeah.
Not I'm just training because I need to train to burn calories.
Right. Because your shot is in the nutrition bucket and your exercise is in your fun bucket.
Right.
I say fun bucket, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Your strength bucket.
Right.
Your adventure bucket.
Right.
Your freedom bucket.
Yeah. Whatever this, it's like, how much stuff can I gain from the things I'm doing?
Yeah.
Not what can I do to help me lose the things that I'm doing.
Right.
And then you can get into muscle mass and protein and like that stuff. The high protein and the muscle mass from counting macros, body composition. If someone's like, cool, I'm at a healthy, what I determine as a healthy weight as the individual in their own brain, right? And like, I really want to like turn muscle into fat.
Right.
Well, technically that doesn't really kind of happen, sort of, right? There's a very small percentage thing called like repartitioning or some word where like your energy gets broken down from fat to usable energy that goes into like energy as muscle. And that's kind of normal for like newbies, people who are at a very specific energy equation, but it's not like the tissue becomes one to the other tissue.
Right. It's like you're losing one and gaining one.
Right. You're always losing
at the
one
same
and gaining
time.
one. And this happens to happening in the same moment.
Yes.
But it's not turning into it.
Right.
So a high protein diet, if someone's like, I'm going to get to my macros to where I can manage my calories and manage the protein, carbs, and fats so that I'm giving my body the best opportunity for its energy equation and its input of resistance training to say, I want to build muscle tissue and I want to get rid of fat tissue.
Yes.
And that's where having like specific macros really comes into play,
helpful,
because you can't just eat 1,000 calories of everything and then it just works that way. And you also can't just use, you can't just use like straight cardio and just do a whole bunch of heavy breathing and think that your body's going to create muscle.
Right.
And if anything, some people, depending on stress levels, if you do an excessive amount of cardio, you may even be burning through more muscle and gaining more fat from a stress response.
Yeah, especially if you're under.
Right.
Right.
There we go.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, that's really about it. There we go.
There we go.
That's the kind of thoughts we have about Ozempic, GLP-1, semaglutides.
Yeah, because he made this Facebook post that we already mentioned about. And there were some people that seemed a little riled up.
Yep, some people definitely riled up. Some people
on the Facebook post
who were like, "Thank you for thinking like that." It's very, there was a couple like dietitians who were like, "We're not seeing good data at all. Like we're seeing more people come back more jacked up than they were before." But it's because someone gives them a shot and there's no context.
There's no education around it. There's no help around
there's
it.
Nothing,
there's no support,
there's,
feedback, adjustment.
They're just take this thing, come back.
Yeah.
And then they're like, all right, cool, I've run out of money to pay for this thing, but I really didn't do anything. Because technically, you could get on the shot, and if you were to feed yourself, right, if you didn't have enough dosage, or if you had a big enough hunger cue, or if you had a big enough habit of food, you could still not lose weight. Because you could consume, enough food to where you didn't lose weight, or you lost very minimal.
Yeah. So some dietitians were like...
They were like, look, we're not seeing... Like, if you zoom out and you look at the long term, they're like, we're not moving people in a better direction. Because the overall, you're going to have more people who have less muscle mass and more body fat percentage taking up less space. And now they're trying to get back into the process of getting healthy again, and now it's even harder than it was before.
Sure.
Because your equation is really jacked. Your motor's jacked up, your muscle mass is jacked up, and now you've got to climb a bigger hill to get to where you wanted to go. Sure. It's not an absolute, but just like there's people who've had amazing experiences on it, and they've changed their life because of it. Because it put them into the right cascade of things.
Yes.
But they went into a new cascade of things. It wasn't just like, I'm going to take the shot and then do nothing else ever. Right.
Sure.
Comes back to resistance training and eating protein.
We love those things.
Those are super important things for everyone of every age, of every process. It doesn't matter what's going on in it doesn't matter. Resistance training and a high protein diet are hands down a recommendation for 98% of people.
Yes.
Like, there's just no way around that.
Yeah.
No way around it.
Yeah.
And we're really excited for people to value exercise, and we're going to keep talking about valuing exercise for all the things you gain from it.
Because we love it.
Because we love it.
I really do love it.
And we want everyone else to love it. So if you are taking the shot, there's some things to think about.
Yeah.
We are definitely not saying don't take it.
No.
We're definitely not saying do take it.
No.
But you should definitely know from 360 degrees the kind of things to be expecting out of it.
Yeah, and then like also we're always here for open conversations around if you are taking it or have taken it and need a different approach or guidance or feedback or anything during that process.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was like all serious today.
Well,
Dang.
you said you wanted to get a little.
I did. I said I wanted to get a little sciencey.
We got a little sciencey.
Still didn't talk about the spaghetti.
Spaghetti.
We'll do that next time.
Okay, we'll wrap up with this quick spaghetti story.
What?
To get underneath 50.
Right now?
We have 9 minutes for an hour.
Oh my gosh. I was already yawning. Okay.
She's been yawning the entire time.
I can't help it.
Creeping on her phone. I might as well just do this by myself.
I am. Okay, just do your spaghetti talk. I've heard it. I just wanted everyone else to hear it.
All right. So in your mind's eye, get a little yogi, right? Picture a package of spaghetti. Okay?
Okay.
So you're at the store and it's the long, thin spaghetti and there's a whole bunch of strands and it's got that plastic casing around it.
Yes.
That's basically what the muscle is inside the body. It's a bunch of long fibers wrapped up in a tube. Okay?
Okay.
More or less.
We're tubing the spaghetti.
That's basically what it is.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Now, when you think of that tissue,
yes,
right? If you think about what fat is, fat for the most part is sitting on top of that package of muscle. It's not turning the spaghetti into fat.
Okay. So
right?
This is my muscle.
So you can think about that. Now, the other thing is, if I want to change how my spaghetti looks.
My spaghetti.
Okay?
Yes.
I can remove fat off of the package.
Okay.
But my muscle is still there.
Okay.
If I remove, we talked about this, if I remove the fat and the tissue, so I take half the spaghetti noodles out, the hard crunchy noodles, and I take half of the whatever you want to, the cheese on top, spaghetti reference, right? I have removed tissue from both of them.
Yes.
Okay? If I want that tissue, the muscle tissue, to become more, right? The strands get bigger or the strands get smaller. You have the same amount of strands.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
So you don't replace strands. The strands you have just become bigger or smaller. If I want them to be stronger, right? The electrical system of the body, like when you do, like someone has a heart attack and they do the burp, right?
Burp.
That's the electrical system of the body. Those spaghettis, their abilities to spaghetti is controlled by the electric signal of the body.
Okay.
If I can manipulate how much electricity goes into the tissue, its ability to contract, I will have a stronger muscle without changing the size of the muscle. Okay, that's getting stronger. If I want to create bigger muscles, I need to create a different type of response that creates a breakage and then a regrowth of the muscle.
Yes.
So you can get stronger without getting bigger.
Yes.
You can get bigger with getting marginally stronger. And you can also do both. And you can also build muscle, not lose any body fat, but take up more space.
Yes.
Right? So it's not that you gained more fat. You just gained more everything.
Yeah, which kind of goes into a little bit of if someone feels bulky when they start lifting weights.
Yep. Right.
That's just because their body fat kind of stays the same, and then they might gain a little bit. That muscle tissue gets a little bigger.
Yep.
So they feel like they're bulky, but they're not getting bulky from lifting.
Right, because you could still be the same body fat percentage.
Right.
Right. You could have, I have 38 pounds of fat on my body. Yes. I have 38 pounds of muscle on my body. I gain 40. I'm at 2 pounds of muscle. I have 40 pounds of muscle. I have 38 pounds of fat. I didn't gain more fat getting bigger.
Right.
I just increased the volume of muscle mass I have in that tissue.
Yes. Yes.
That's the spaghetti reference. And we can go more into like body composition another day.
We will go into that another day.
Basically, that's how you want to think about tissue in your body. And that's how you can get stronger. That's how you can get bigger. And then if you think about endurance, the amount of times you can contract the spaghetti.
Yes. That's
changing endurance. There you go. Your lungs change the ability for oxygen to get to the spaghetti. And that's all it is. Your body is just a bunch of spaghetti. It's spaghetti and cheese.
Spaghetti and cheese. Shut it down. Episode 10.
Episode 10. If you're on YouTube, comment, like, subscribe below. If you had anything you thought interesting about today's conversation, say it below. If you like to argue with me on the internet, I would love that.
He loves that. I like nice comments, but you can leave the
not nice comments.
Shit talking with Sean.
Okay. You can do that all on the YouTubes. You can also just find us on Facebook. I'm sure you can just look and see things we've talked about.
Instagram.
Sean _prevail, Danny _prevail, Sean, Sharon, SHEARON on Facebook. You can follow me. Do you know you can follow people without friending them?
I didn't know this, but you have a lot of stuff happening on Facebook. I'm more on the gram.
Yeah, because I ran out of my friends. I can't get any more friends because I only have 5,000. But people can start following me.
Yeah.
And they can see all my content without me seeing them.
How many of y'all are on TikTok? That's what I want to know. What percentage of people are on the TikTok now?
I'm not on TikTok.
On the TikTok. Okay. Go to
Danny _prevail. Comment on any of her pictures about what we're talking about. Send us a DM.
Yes, I would
follow me on Facebook. Like, subscribe on YouTube. And then tell everyone you know to do exercise and to listen to us.
Heavy.
If you have anything you'd like us to talk about, suggest it.
Yeah, we would love a suggestion and comments. I love the comments. I've said it, but I'm going to keep saying it. Okay, bye. Episode 10.
Bye.